Yeah, the first pass I just roughed it out. I had bandsawed this into shape, and then I'm making a 14-inch base for a column. So I made it about 14 and a half, roughed it out, and I just made a cleanup cut that, you know, got it into a round. And I got my death stop cut, so I usually just cut some quick blocks that I can slide in there real fast and make the next cut. And I've got it set up at the feed rate I want now. This next cut will start taking it into shape, and it'll rough out some of the spots and get us maybe about halfway into the depth we're going. So I'll stick it on drive now and it'll start making the next cut. Now you can rotate the lathe in both directions. If you reverse it and run it in the other direction and have the knife cutting so it's an undercut, so the work is coming up underneath, the dust collector pulls a little bit better. But for this particular piece that I'm working now, I'm getting a little bit nicer cut coming in the other direction, so I chose to run it that way. Now the pattern is starting to get up to the wide part of the pattern here. And you can see the lathe, it just automatically follows around that creature, lifts out, and comes off totally on its own. It's a little loud when it gets to the end and it's just starting to break off, but that's it, that's the final cut. Now I usually just hit it, you could start removing some stock on the reverse cut if you want, but I usually just on a piece like this that's shorter, it's just as fast as we turn it and start over again. I'll pull this block out, now I'm on the full depth. Now there's a fine adjustment here too, and you can run it that way. And if I'm just doing one piece, I mean these I was doing multiple ones, so rather than changing them all the time, I just made a quick change like that. But you can use your fine adjustment here if you're only doing one piece at a time, and you can mic it right into exactly where you want. Now I'm engaging the power feed. This will be the last cut on here. As I make this cut, you can see on the previous cuts, it's pretty much just runs on its own. When I do a final cut, I usually like to stand by the handle and watch the template. This is a pretty steep climb, so sometimes you just want to kind of finesse it a little bit. Now it's starting to come in real deep and take that deep cut. And I'm going to follow them on the template. I got a pretty straight shoulder there, that's why I kind of use it off. If you got a gentle climb like you have coming up here, it climbs up pretty good on its own. If you've got a real steep climb that you're going on, then a lot of times it's worth assisting it a little bit. Now I'm going to flip it into reverse. I'm going to pause it for a second here. And if you can get a shot on that template coming down, on this last cut, there's that real deep section of the curl. I kind of saved that for last. So I'll come in here on my reverse cut. And you'll see as this comes down, it'll stay real nice. The pressure of it stays real nice and tight to the template. It'll start walking down. Now this mahogany really curls, so you get some pretty tight curls off of it. Some of the oaks and stuff that chip off a little bit more dusty, but this one, you get some pretty heavy curls. Now you watch, see how that just climbs right down there? And it's just going down the template, it'll make that nice deep cut. right up the shoulder. Right up around. And then as it swings around here, I'll let it come in the reverse, because as it swings around, it'll make a nice finish on the front there, and that'll finish up the card. There it goes. Finishes it right up, and that's the end there. I'll take my head cast, and at this point, I usually get in there with a little bit of sandpaper, clean up. You know, as it's still running here, I'll come in here and just clean it up a little bit, and then that'll be the end of the piece.